Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. If you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. In 1925, archaeologists working near the base of the Great Pyramid made a discovery that stunned the world. Hidden beneath the desert sands of Giza was a royal burial chamber filled with extraordinary treasures, gold bracelets, ornate furniture, and a magnificent bed fit for a queen. The tomb belonged to Hetepheres I, mother of Khufu, the ruler who built the Great Pyramid of Giza. Yet when the chamber was opened, archaeologists encountered a puzzling mystery. The tomb was full, but the queen herself was gone. This is the story of one of ancient Egypt's strangest archaeological discoveries, the lost tomb of Queen Hetepheres. Today's History Brief returns to some strange history. A quick word from our sponsors.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
This day in history. On March 22, 1765, the British Parliament passed the Stamp Act, imposing direct taxes on the American colonies. The law sparked fierce protests and became one of the earliest flashpoints leading toward the American Revolution. On March 22, 1997, the Hale-Bopp comet made one of the most spectacular appearances in the night sky in modern history, visible to millions around the world for weeks. Story of the day. Queen Hetepheres lived more than 4,500 years ago during Egypt's 4th dynasty, one of the most powerful periods in ancient Egyptian history. She was the wife of Pharaoh Sneferu, the great builder who experimented with pyramid design and constructed massive monuments across Egypt. Their son, Khufu, would later build the largest pyramid ever constructed. In other words, Hetepheres stood at the very center of Egypt's early pyramid dynasty. Yet for centuries, almost nothing was known about her burial. Unlike the pharaohs whose pyramids dominate the Giza Plateau, her tomb had disappeared. That mystery remained unsolved until the early 20th century. In 1925, American archaeologist George Andrew Reisner was leading excavations near the Great Pyramid. His team was working in an area filled with tombs of royal family members and high officials. One morning, a worker noticed something unusual in the bedrock, a small shaft carved deep into the ground. When excavators cleared the opening, they found a vertical shaft plunging nearly 90 feet below the surface. At the bottom lay a sealed burial chamber. The archaeologists realized that they might have discovered an untouched royal tomb. Carefully, the team opened the chamber. What they found inside was astonishing. The burial chamber was packed with extraordinary objects. There were elegant wooden chairs plated with gold, a magnificent bed decorated with gilded panels, curtain boxes, carrying chairs, and a delicate furniture designed for royal comfort. And there were jewels, including stunning gold bracelets inlaid with turquoise and lapis lazuli. These artifacts represented some of the finest craftsmanship from ancient Egypt's Old Kingdom. Many were later painstakingly reconstructed after thousands of fragile fragments were reassembled. Today, these objects remain among the most important artifacts from the Pyramid Age. But even as archaeologists cataloged the treasures, something just did not add up. At the center of the burial chamber stood a magnificent alabaster sarcophagus. This was where Queen Hetepheres herself should have been laid to rest. When the lid was carefully lifted, archaeologists expected to find the queen's mummified remains. Instead, the sarcophagus was empty. No mummy, no bones, and no trace of the queen. The discovery stunned the excavation team. How could such a rich royal tomb contain no body? The mystery deepened further when archaeologists examined the seals on the sarcophagus. They appeared to be intact, which meant the tomb might never have been opened since ancient times. Yet the queen was still missing. Riesner and his team began considering possible explanations. One theory suggested that tomb robbers had stolen the mummy long ago. But if thieves had indeed broken into the chamber, they likely would have taken the gold jewelry and precious artifacts as well. Yet those treasures remained. Another possibility was even more intriguing. Perhaps Hetepheres had originally been buried somewhere else. Ancient grave robbers may have disturbed her original tomb. To protect the royal remains, priests might have secretly relocated the burial. In the process, they could have moved the treasures, but accidentally or deliberately left the mummy behind. If that theory is correct, the tomb discovered in 1925 might represent a reburial, not the queen's original resting place. But no definite evidence has ever confirmed exactly what happened. Despite the missing mummy, the tomb provided an extraordinary glimpse into royal life during the Pyramid Age. The furniture revealed how Egyptian royalty lived and traveled. The bed itself, reconstructed from hundreds of fragments, showed sophisticated carpentry techniques. The carrying chair suggested the royal women were transported in elaborate ceremonial style, and the jewelry demonstrated the remarkable skill of ancient Egyptian goldsmiths. Together, the objects painted a vivid portrait of elite life more than 4 millennia ago. In some ways, the absence of the queen herself only deepened the fascination. Her story, I guess, remains unfinished. The treasures of Queen Hetepheres eventually found homes in major museums, including the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston and the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. They remain among the finest surviving examples of Old Kingdom craftsmanship. Meanwhile, the mystery of the missing queen continues to intrigue archaeologists. Was her mummy destroyed, hidden in another tomb, or still waiting beneath the sands of Giza to be discovered? Ancient Egypt has a long history of burial relocations and hidden caches designed to protect royal remains. It is entirely possible that Hetepheres' final resting place has yet to be discovered. The History Brief. The following comes from Strange History by the editors of Portable Press. King Charles VI of France, who lived between 1368 and 1422, spent much of his reign struggling to maintain his sanity. Sometimes he was convinced that he was made of glass. He even had steel rods placed inside his robe so that way he wouldn't break. But he wasn't always that way. When he was crowned in 1380, the young king was known as Charles the Beloved. Then, everything changed on January 28, 1393. A wild party was held at the royal residence to celebrate the third wedding of a widow named Catherine the Fastiverin. Back then, widow weddings involved loud music, lavish costumes, and silly shenanigans. So, for this occasion, a nobleman with a reputation for being a jerk apparently came up with a plan to prank Catherine. The nobleman convinced King Charles and 5 of his knights to dress up as masked wild men in disguises made out of wood, resin, and weeds. Because the costumes were highly flammable, plans were made ahead of time to extinguish all the torches in the party hall. At the designated moment, the fires went out and the pranksters burst in, shouting, howling, and dancing frantically. 5 of the wild men were chained together. That proved to be a bad idea. All was going well until the Duke of Orleans, Charles' brother, showed up late, drunk as a skunk, and carrying a lit torch. He held his torch over one of the chained pranksters' heads to see who it was, and then a spark fell, setting the man's costume ablaze. Chaos ensued as the fire spread from one wild man to another. They cried out in pain as the costumes of other partygoers burst into flames. People frantically stormed the exits, screaming and running for their lives. Several didn't make it out alive. The king barely escaped and spent the rest of his life battling to stay sane. No longer called Charles the Beloved, his new nickname was Charles the Mad. By the end of the 14th century, he wasn't even fit to rule anymore, and his role as the king had been purely ceremonial. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and for helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you are enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both of those links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.